news with spoons, let's go ahead and hop into some real quick news. And this is Reggie Fils Amie is retiring as president of Nintendo America. Reggie recently announced today that he was going to be retiring from Nintendo, or his position at Nintendo, to be able to spend more time with his wife and family. I think that's awesome. You know, family is important, and I wish him the best in his endeavors. This does sadden me though, because Reggie has become one of the faces of Nintendo. He's made his time at Nintendo very fun, very exciting. He's very good in front of the camera, very energetic. Really brought a lot of excitement and announcement to his games. So I thought, you know, with him kind of being the face of Nintendo, he did a really excellent job. His successor is going to be Doug Bowser, and I'm not joking you, that is the guy's actual name. So Reggie even poked fun at it with his exit theme to the fans, and you know, I wish you the best of luck, Reggie, and thank you for so many amazing memories. Continuing on with information from Nintendo, Nintendo may have a canceled game coming to the Nintendo Switch, and this is Scalebound. Now, this is all rumor at this point, but this really started when Aaron Khan over at Game Informer had said that Nintendo was going to be working on a canceled game that would shock a lot of people. This started the internet kind of going into a frenzy. One of the big ones that kept popping up was Scalebound. And for those of you who don't know, Scalebound was a game that was being developed by Platinum Games and published by Microsoft, but Microsoft came along back in 2017 and infamously just canceled it. No real reason why they canceled it, or I don't know what the deal was. It does sound like it was having some developmental issues going forward, but needless to say, it was a pretty sad moment for a lot of people looking forward to this game. Now, this really started gaining traction though when we found out that Microsoft had abandoned the licensing to this, that apparently they don't own it anymore. And there was another Nintendo website that also ran with the article stating that they have confidence in their resources that this is indeed coming to the Nintendo Switch. Now, nothing has been shown by Nintendo or announced by Platinum Games, so at this point I'm going to treat it as it is, a rumor, until we get some more information. But if this is true, this is going to be big for Nintendo. Even if they have to, you know, scale down the graphical power that the game is going to be able to do, maybe scale back the scope of how big the game was going to be and kind of rework it in some areas, I think if Nintendo did pick this up, that is a huge win for them. Honestly, I thought Microsoft would continue the IP and give it to somebody like Ninja Theory, who's kind of done action-based games as well, and let them work on it, but, you know, if Scalebound truly is coming to the Nintendo Switch, it's definitely a reason to have a Nintendo Switch. Our next bit of news comes from Atlus. Atlus recently put a survey up online asking their fans to give them feedback for their games. This included asking what people wanted from across all of their franchises: Etrian Odyssey, Shin Megami Tensei, Persona dancing games, Catherine, what they'd like to see. And I took a part of the survey and I did tell them what I wanted to see. I told them I wanted more ports from Shin Megami Tensei. I told them I wanted remakes and remasters from Shin Megami Tensei. As we're speaking of Shin Megami Tensei, I'd love to see localizations, official localizations of the games that we've gotten. Devil Summoner, since the Saturn and PSP version were never localized, I'd love to be able to see something like that come to the Nintendo Switch, you know, whatever it may be to get that game. But I want to be able to see that. I also let them know that I want to see Persona 1 and Persona 2 remastered, ported, remade, whatever. I just want to see those games available on the platform, because those games are just as awesome as their PS2, PS4 5 3-4 counterparts. But if you haven't checked out our Let's Play of Persona, you can do so. And I'll leave a link down below to that in the description, as well as a link to this survey, so you guys can let Atlus know what you would like to see. Moving on to our next big article was something Square Enix announced during their fiscal year report. And this is that they have another major release being released this year. This has left a lot to speculate that we could be seeing the Final Fantasy VII Remake coming out later this year. I don't really think that's the project that Square Enix is teasing. Now, I would love to be proven wrong and have it released this year, but I just don't think it's feasible to do. Because Kingdom Hearts 3 finished up development in November, or late October, and just recently released. After they had finished up development with Kingdom Hearts 3, we learned that Tetsuya Nomura and his team were going to go strictly to working on the Final Fantasy VII Remake. Now, I imagine the Final Fantasy VII Remake is going to be a huge, massive project. I think this is a next-gen title, not so much a this generation that we're going to see it. But I don't think they could be able to pull something together that quickly by the end of the year to get this out still this year. I mean, I guess technically they could be referring to the fiscal year, making it a possibility. We could see something come up before that actually happened, but I don't think that's what we're hinting at either. What I do think Square Enix is going to announce or show is something from the Avengers project that they are working on with Marvel. If you guys remember, Square Enix back in 2017 teased a small little trailer that they and Marvel were working together to create something by Crystal Dynamics and Eidos Montreal. I think this is what we are going to see with Captain America, or Captain Marvel, releasing this year, as well as Avengers Endgame. I think it's kind of the perfect grounds to release something like this. That's what I think that is. I don't want to get my hopes up. I don't want people getting their hopes up that it's the Final Fantasy VII Remake, because more than likely it is not. So I'd hold out and see what this actually is, and see what Square Enix is going to deliver, say something at E3 or something like that. And that brings us into some other news from Falcom. Falcom's president recently teased an announcement or a new entry in the Trails franchise. Now, the Trails franchise is part of the long-running Legend of Heroes franchise and got its start with Trails in the Sky. This, of course, led on to its two sequels, then Trails of Zero and Trails of Azure, which were never localized. And then we got the Trails of Cold Steel, which recently finished up its arc with Trails of Cold Steel 4. So, is this potentially a new entry? Is this going to be a part 5 in the Trails of Cold Steel? In the Trails in the Sky? It's hard to say what this is going to be for sure, but if I had to put my money on it, I'm guessing this is probably going to be the next series that the Trails games are going to be starting. So I'm looking forward to seeing what information we can get there. We recently started a Let's Play of Trails of Cold Steel, which you can check out as well down below in the description box. So looking forward to what this is. Falcom is a developer, by the way. If you are into Japanese RPGs, you should be paying close attention to. With Trails of Cold Steel, they've done a really great job with that. They've done a really great job with Ys 8. Tokyo Xanadu, for the most part, is an enjoyable game. I really think that this is a studio that a lot more people need to pay attention to, especially if you're into Japanese RPGs. And our last bit of news, guys, Oninaki is another game that is being developed by Square Enix, or Tokyo RPG Factory. Tokyo RPG Factory is known for their games I Am Setsuna and Lost Sphere. I loved I Am Setsuna. It had its flaws, but I thought it was a really enjoyable game. Now, that game was set up for failure, calling itself a successor to Chrono Trigger. That's something no game can ever live up to. But I walked away from that game thinking, you know what, this studio has potential. I have yet to play Lost Sphere, but it is a game that's on my radar to play. But Oninaki looks very, very beautiful. And to top it all off, the director of Chrono Trigger, Tadashi Tokita, is working on a game as the creative producer. Now, Tadashi Tokita has a very impressive record at Square Enix as well. He was one of the directors for Chrono Trigger. He was also the director for another game that was never localized outside of Japan called Live Alive. And he was also the director for the Parasite Eve games. So this was huge. This was massive. You know, this is some really cool news. He was also going to direct the sequel, or Chrono Break, which was the supposed sequel that was in the works to Chrono Trigger and Chrono Cross that never materialized. So maybe we'll see some of those ideas incorporated in there if he's really truly part of it. But the fact that he's involved in this, the fact that Tokyo RPG Factory is kind of got their start trying to bring back the formula of what Chrono Trigger's battle system was, this really excites me, and I'm really curious to see more about this game. The art style looks beautiful. I think that the combat in all their games has been rather solid. I'm curious to see if this can be the game that propels them into the mainframe and really shows that these guys are capable of bringing old school Japanese experiences to modern consoles. Guys, that is going to wrap up Gaming News with Spoons. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you haven't already, hit subscribe there for me to keep updated with all things Japanese gaming. And follow me on Facebook and Twitter. Links are going to be down below in that description box. If there's a video game article or video game news you'd like to send into the channel, be sure to tweet me out at TonberryKing128, hashtag Gaming News with Spoons, to have the story featured here on the channel. And most importantly, stay happy, be happy, game happy. Spoons is checking out.